Those of you who are pampered enough not to be treated like animals by the goddamn cops, keep in mind it's because you're fucking pampered. Once you hit the streets as a man, you're no longer a human being to American society. You're the scapegoat for everything that went wrong in women's lives. Every woman who didn't get what she wanted right when she wanted it, she knows she can take it out on you. Any guy who can't take no for an answer as well. This country is disgusting. So are the people in it. I understand why a woman would argue with a homeless man over whether or not the police will do their job. It's because for her, they will. And she is so pampered and self-goddamn absorbed that it doesn't register to her that men aren't pampered like bitches are. And I have to say bitches, not women. How many of you make a distinction? I use bitches to describe both men and women in the United States. Because unlike you sexist women, I don't have the luxury of believing that bullshit to be true. Let's go get some goddamn coffee. On the bright side, Tyler's 18 now, which means I can post up some of the important shit I gotta post up. People's lives are at stake. Isn't it beautiful? Chunks of egg all over my vehicle. Cute. Gotta love it, right? Something's wrong with the youngins in this town.
Why is that?
Well, they egged my egged my vehicle last night.
Oh no.
And they toilet papered it. But apparently nobody taught them that you're supposed to lay a streamer before you throw the toilet paper. So it's just toilet paper they have my vehicle. A whole roll. Dry.
A whole roll.
Perfect. Great condition. I'm taking it up the mountain so I can use it.
There you go.
You know, that's not only the only dumb thing they did. They also egged my vehicle after throwing the toilet paper.
Okay.
Don't they teach youngins how to vandalize this anymore? I better go get coffee.
Entertaining though.
Yes, ma'am. Quite. Now I said, what about breakfast at Tiffany? Good morning. Warm in here. Woohoo! It's a province. Oh God, now that song is going to be stuck in my head all week.
Oh yeah, just a little bit. Yeah.
Without the ice, usually the ice brings it to a certain level, so we're used to.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'll ask. Well,
Yes, please.
I just don't, like I said, with the ice, it takes up the bacon line, but I don't. No ice. What's on your hand over there? I thought so too. Want a straw? Have a great day.
Oh, not the cut over Lord. Now 333, that's a perfectly viable thing. I got eggs last night. My car got eggs and toilet paper. So when I got in this morning, I had to go make some jokes at Jenny about it. Maybe she knows how to properly vandalize anything. When I was young, you were taught to be intelligent about egg throwing and toilet papering. You throw the eggs first
Right?
and the toilet paper second.
Oh.
They didn't do that. They threw a whole toilet paper roll at it. They didn't bother hanging a streamer off of it so it didn't continue to roll and sprawl. It's very sad. Oh. All right. Apparently, I am not getting a refill. I have a grand total of 8 cents. I thought I had 50 cents today. Also, it's okay.
Probably find it in your car.
It probably is in my car. One thing about sleeping across my seats is that I got to dig through all the trash that got between the seats, find all the quarters underneath. That's right. I don't need a refill this morning anyway.
Okay.
No sense being selfish. If the things say I don't need another one, apparently I don't breathe the road.
I don't know, but very.
That's quite all right. I should be heading back out to my vehicle anyway, because I don't know if they're going to come back and bully me on their way to. Wait, they ain't got school today. It's Sunday. Maybe them youngins' parents will drag them to church and make them confess their sins. That's not going to happen. Thank you for having me.
I don't really want to have
Well. I like your ears almost as much as I like mine.
Pardon?
I said, I like your ears almost as much as I like mine. Yours are floppier. Ooh. All right. I got my coffee. Could have sworn I had 50 cents to get myself a refill, but nope. I dug in my pocket. There was only 8 cents. I did try to be as positive as I could. I think I do a pretty good job. Not exactly fun getting vandalized. I don't like people throwing eggs at my vehicle. Obviously, they should have thrown the eggs first, then the toilet paper, but we don't really teach youngins how to properly vandalize people these days, do we? Although, you know, it's racist redneck territory, so I'm sure some of these parents are at least proud of their kids for trying. Like, yeah, we're not allowed to hold KKK rallies anymore, but at least our kids are trying it without any guidance. Yeah. And we got BLM, who is a racist hate group. And then we got the KKK, another racist hate group. Both of them at each other's throats, blaming the other side. You know, most of the black folks I know who claim to be oppressed, well, I don't see it. If you're going to compare yourself with white people, maybe you should compare yourself with the right white people. Not all white people are senators, and not all senators are white. So take that "it's white people's fault" bullshit and shove it up your yeah. Shove it up your yeah. Now, of course, I'll blame everybody. I don't care what color you are. If you're an asshole, you're an asshole. I don't think that's rocket science. Not sure if you noticed, but not only am I an asshole, I fucking brag about it. If that's what you want to call it. Is it something I'm fucking happy about? You goddamn right I am. Well, no. Actually, I'm not. I'm not happy about it. You know, it's been over half a decade since I could just sit down and chill with my friends. Not that it fucking matters. None of my friends or family gave a shit anyway. All they did was take advantage of me, waste my time, waste my money. Yeah, it's hard to believe people who do that. Who promise you they care, swear that they're gonna this and they're gonna that. At the end of the day, you're just gonna blow up everything that I go through. And then you're gonna flip shit when some of that shit happens to you. Well, ha ha, you deserve it. It's called equality, motherfucker. You don't get to go kill a bunch of Israeli civilians and then hide behind a bunch of civilians. It just don't work. Let's think about this logistically. Let's say old man Hitler decides that he's going to hide behind 5 Jews, or 5 Germans for that matter. When you consider how many people are dead as a result of listening to Adolf Hitler, would it be worth 5 Jews or 5 Germans to get rid of Adolf Hitler before he did everything that he did? Some people might say yes, because it would stop literally millions of people from being killed. Although some people might recognize the real problem and say no. If it wasn't Hitler, it'd have been someone else. The arms race that was created that Adolf Hitler walked right into when he took over as chancellor, man, they handed him everything he needed. I mean, here he was trying to take over a naked nation, only to find out that it was already armed to the teeth, that it was already investing in new technology. The jet engine had been in the works since the 1920s. Hans von Ohain was a pretty smart man. But let's take a look at it logistically. 5 innocent people versus millions. Would you be able to make that choice? Would you be able to make the choice between your 8-year-old daughter and 9.1 million Jews? Would you be able to make that choice? Many of the people who were in Israel, whose children were, well, families, not just children, entire families, their entire families were killed when Hamas went through. Hamas specifically knocked out military infrastructure only so they could harm civilians. What part of the military infrastructure did they hit? Border crossings and surveillance. They weren't interested in going after actual military targets. The closest that they got to going after an actual military target was going after the roadblocks. While Hamas was saying that Israel has to let them know every time they're going to bomb a settlement, did Hamas bother to get a hold of those Jews and say, hey, we're going to come in and slaughter you? No, they just did it. One thing that these Palestinian lovers, which I've known a few Palestinians in my day, and I can say I love more than one. However, you got a different set of rules for Palestine than you do for Israel. You don't stop to understand that Israel is surrounded by people that hate Israel. Kind of like being in India. India is surrounded by countries that hate it. the Indus Valley. Let me tell you how famous the Indus Valley is. Alexander the Great, his worldly conquest ended with India. It ended in the Indus Valley. The people of India are some of the most resilient in the world. They survived British occupation, French occupation. They survived the Mughal Empire. They've survived a lot. If Jeffrey Dahmer, the day that he had a 14-year-old boy trying to escape from his house, a 14-year-old boy who had holes drilled in his head, a 14-year-old boy who ran naked, ran into two women that he knew, and the cops gave that 14-year-old boy to Jeffrey Dahmer. You know what ended up happening to those cops? They retired. That's right, there were no consequences for them for handing over a 14-year-old boy to a serial killer who was already a registered sex offender. How many of you knew that about Jeffrey Dahmer? That he was already a registered sex offender. And those police handed a 14-year-old boy who was stark naked with holes drilled in his head and bleeding from his genitalia. And those officers threatened to arrest the two women who knew that 14-year-old boy. If those women had been willing to go to jail to protect that boy, he would still be alive today, along with 11 other victims of Jeffrey Dahmer. The United States is pretty fucking disgusting. I know. I was born here. I live here. We're hitting an economic recession, they say. Well, couldn't happen to a better country. You say, where are the Palestinians supposed to go? And to that I reply, where are the Jews supposed to go? When I hear the Palestinians complain, they're not complaining about anything American homeless people don't have to go through. Our loved ones are shot, stabbed, blown up. Some of them freeze to death. Freezing to death is one of the most common ways to go out here. In America, it's illegal to be homeless. In the Middle East, it's illegal not to help the homeless. One guy that I know come back from Israel, he went through Israel and Palestine. Why wouldn't he? He's Palestinian. What was the moral of the story? Oh, yeah. While he was homeless in Israel, he wasn't really homeless. Israeli people took him in and Palestinian people took him in. There's another guy I know who was born in Israel. He's considered Palestinian, but he was born in Jerusalem. His name is Zaki Abanada. We live in a fucked up world, and there ain't no doubt about that. At the end of this video, hopefully I'll be able to post up the link to a video from last night where them youngins were throwing eggs at my vehicle and throwing eggs at me, and You know, I had my pepper spray. I didn't even try to pull it out. Sometimes it's best to hold your fire. Even if I had pulled out my pepper spray, they didn't get close enough for me to hit them with the pepper spray. It only sprays up to 15 feet. I have my bear mace, and I definitely could have shot him with my bear mace last night. What would that have resulted in? Probably a fucking car accident. Bear mace is not fun stuff. I don't hide here every night. Matter of fact, this is only the second night that I've stayed here due to harassment. And I was told it's alright as long as it's just a night or two. Let's put yourself in an impossible position. Let's say you're a 62-year-old retired Israeli general, and you get a call that says that your family is at their kibbutz, and there's Palestinians shooting outside of your house. What did that 62-year-old do? He went and slaughtered every one of those fucking Palestinians that went after his goddamn family. There's some shit you don't fucking do. Ted Bollinger and his cronies decided to go after my family. Do I speak up? You goddamn right I do. How about the police? Yeah, they went after my family too. What would the Israelis do? They would bomb the ever-living fuck out of all of these pieces of shit. What would the Jews do in this scenario? They would bomb the fuck out of Boulder, Colorado. What would the Jews do in this scenario? They would bomb the fuck out of Denver, Colorado. What would the Jews do in this scenario? They would invade Chapel, Nebraska. What would the Jews do in this scenario? They would blow up Sidney, Nebraska. What would the Jews do in this scenario? They would bomb the living fuck out of Tacoma, Washington. What would the Jews do in my position? They would hunt down Ted Bollinger like a dog, blow him the fuck up, and display his picture all over the goddamn news. What would the Israelis do if they had to endure what I'm enduring? They would kill every one of you stupid sons of bitches for looking the other way and for hiding like fucking rats. We got to see over the last week what Jews would do if you do to the Jews what you did to me. So what's the point here? We got Palestinians complaining that they got nowhere else to go. We got Jews complaining they got nowhere else to go. The Jews say, hey, we just want to live in peace. Hamas won't have it. All they do is teach hate. The Israelis established not one but two humanitarian corridors. By humanitarian corridor, I mean walking routes south. There's two routes south. that the Israelis have said, hey, we won't bomb it. We'll let you use those two routes. And although that allows a lot of Hamas soldiers to go free, the thing is, it also allows Israel to bomb the living fuck out of terrorist infrastructure, not residing in the city of Gaza, but residing underneath it, up to 100 feet in places. Bunker busters will take care of that real quick, fast, and in a hurry. Basically, when you've got something that's 150 feet underground and it goes off, you've created a hell of a seismic charge, and it will bring down buildings on top. Here in the United States, we do the opposite of what Israel did. Here in the United States, we say, go Israel, and then we slap our people on the wrist if they try anything of the sort. How dare our people stand up to our government? How dare they? Especially the poor. Poor people are not considered humans by the United States government or its people. How important you are is dependent upon how you look and whether or not you can buy somebody good looking a fresh new set of Louis Vuitton bags every week. Oh, Louis Vuitton's not as popular now? Well, we got to replace it all with Coach, don't we? God, I got receipt after receipt after receipt. I got to dig through them. Some of them have phone numbers on them. I'm used to being bullied. The place where everybody screwed up is believing that I was just going to lay down and take it. A lot of people whose rights I fought for years wanted to pretend like I'd never done anything for them because it wasn't convenient, it wasn't popular. How many Muslim nations right now are backtracking on Israel because it's just not popular? The Muslim world is split down the middle. Israel and Egypt don't exactly have much love lost between the two of them. However, they both work together to do something about Hamas. That's how seriously fucked up the situation is. Egypt used to help out the Palestinian people with, well, they considered it a humanitarian corridor. Back in the 1960s, 1970s, Egypt was actually doing quite a bit in the Gaza Strip. They're the ones who started the tunnels into the Gaza Strip. The 80s and 90s got real popular with that tunneling bullshit. And of course, more recently, we've got Egypt, who closed it down. They closed down their end of the tunnels. They said no more. They got tired of organizations like Hamas coming into Israel or coming into Egypt and creating a bunch of violence and mayhem there. Basically, the Palestinian people went, all right, well, the Egyptians are giving us money and stuff, but also the Egyptians have a long history of doing fucked up shit to us. So we're going to take what we want, and we're going to try to have ourselves a military coup as well as a heyday with the press. And that's one of the things that Hamas plays real heavy on. They want that press attention. They're willing to kill a lot of kids, a lot of innocent people to get that press attention. They were willing to outright murder as many people as they could find. We're not talking about military objectives here. We're talking about just straight up murder of civilians, just for attention. Reminds me of the United States. Matter of fact, the only difference between the United States and Hamas is the United States has access to a lot more materials. The fact is, the United States government doesn't give a holy fucking goddamn about its people any more than Hamas does. There are two countries in this who seem to actually give a shit about their citizens. One of them is Israel. The other is Turkey. That's right. Turkey. A Muslim nation. Matter of fact, one of the nations the United States has on its terrorist watch list. They're looking out for their own people first. But Egypt already said no to a humanitarian corridor to Egypt. They don't want Hamas there. They don't want those fucking terrorists doing that shit again. All of you who wanna all praises be to Allah at my ass. All of you who wanna God wills it at my ass. All of you who wanna Jesus saves my ass. I want you to remember that on September 26th, 1983, there's a Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov. Do you know who he is? He may not be your Lord, but he is most certainly your Savior. Every man, woman, and child on this planet. Every creature on this planet, matter of fact, owes its life to Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov. Not Jesus, not God, not Allah, not the Prophet Muhammad. Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov saved all of our lives on September 26th, 1983. Whether you're Christian, Muslim, Jew, or atheist, that statement is still just as true. Why is there a Ukraine in existence for the Russians to invade? Because Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov saved all of our lives all the way back in 1983. All of you born after 1983 have Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov to thank. Sure, you can thank your parents for doing the deed if you feel it necessary. But the fact is, your parents were only able to conceive a child because they weren't roasted in nuclear goddamn apocalypse. Leave it to Hamas to go slap people in the face and then say, oh, I've been slapped. Hamas reminds me of American women in that way. You go victimizing people and then you play victim. And then you go hide behind other victims like a fucking coward. Hamas and the United States are both the same thing to me. Terrorist organizations. The United States is a terrorist organization. Does not care about its own people, let alone any of the foreign people that we blow up. Obviously, with the United States not caring about its own citizens, it sure as shit doesn't give a fuck about you Brits. It's not about you as human beings, it's about what these assholes can fucking cheat you out of.